afternoon. The most recent move to Dominican College, Port Stewart, to give up its grammar school status is the fourth Catholic grammar school in the current round to go non-selective. This marks a recent build of momentum regarding a controversial dispute over the transfer test and selective education system in Northern Ireland. The issue has been debated in the last 15 years with very little evidence and progress. St Ronan's in Lurgan, Loreto in Coleraine and St Patrick's in Armagh are the other Catholic grammar schools to recently announce that they intend to go non-selective. This marks the start of a process which may hope will encourage more grammar schools to follow suit. The current selective system was introduced in 1940 and was based on a number of outdated prejudices that schools would be unable to perform academically. For the last 15 years, politicians have failed to come to an agreement over the transfer system, only making a job much harder for teachers in Northern Ireland. This ultimately affects our children most in the need of Northern Ireland and in turn the wider economy and prosperity of Northern Ireland. Our education correspondent Katie Pettigrew speaks to Professor Tony Gallagher and Vice Chancellor from Queen's University from the Catholic Principals Association at the Waterfront Hall.
Why do you think the recent move of a number of Catholic grammar schools to go non-selective is a positive step forward?
One of the things which I think has happened over recent years, because of fallen roles, the proportion of young people who've gone into grammar schools has steadily increased as grammar schools have kept filling up to capacity. So the full negative impact of fallen roles has fallen on the secondary schools, and that's been horribly unfair to the secondary schools because it's making their task much harder. I think some grammar schools are recognising that as they take in more and more pupils, the notion of them being some sort of elite academic selective school is actually it doesn't really stack up anymore. I think the entire education system will benefit if we move to essentially a non-selective system. One of the consequences of differentiating pupils at a very early age is that you produce a terribly unequal pattern of outcomes. Every country that has early differentiation has a high level of inequality in outcomes from education. And that's not good for the young people that have to suffer the consequences of that. But it's actually not good for society either. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for the human capital, if you like, for society. So I don't think it's a case of, will this school benefit or that school benefit. Society will benefit if we have a much more inclusive, much more all-ability school system.
Ultimately, our current education system has too much of a heavy impact on social background and therefore unequal education outcomes. The research proves that children from Northern Ireland from working class areas suffer most from academic selection, while children from affluent backgrounds benefit most. Interestingly, recent grades show that A-level gap between grammar and non-selective schools is narrowing. Education Minister John O'Dowd has announced that his party hope to take on the Education Ministry in the new Assembly.
I think that the mix of the variety of talents that young people and children bring into school ensures that whether you be academically gifted or not, or vocational, or you choose to go down a vocational or academic route, all that social mix, skill mix around you helps you improve as a person and as a people. First of all, we have to go to the polls, and we have to get as many MLAs elected as possible, and then that gives us a wider choice in terms of the number of future executive seats we can take. So that's our first challenge, getting as many people who support us to come out and vote for us. And then we return on May 6th, May 7th to make decisions around education. I personally hope my party, it is on the list that we achieve the education brief. I think we've made huge changes over those last 10 years. There's a lot of work to continue, and I hope my party is in the education ministry in the next election.
This is education correspondent Katie Pettigrew reporting from the Education First Minister John O'Dowd's office, Stortmont.
The Education Minister supports non-selection in the hope of creating an education system that offers equality for all. The Minister refrained from introducing a bill to ban selection during his time as Minister because this party believed it would have failed. Many nationalist politicians would support the bill, however, unionist parties do not. This is worrying when the working class secondary schools in the unionist areas are the ones of the main groups suffering the most from academic selection. Many working class Protestant boys aged 10 or 11 are being labelled as unable to perform academically. However, what is different now from the 1930s and 40s is that when many of these boys leave school now, there won't be the same jobs available to them. Why are no politicians from the DUP or UUP in support of such a bill that would ultimately lead to the prosperity of children and society? It is wrong that this has become the sectarian dispute whether the Church of Ireland consulted with other Protestant churches at the time of the Burns Report, and all recommended to end the non-selection. Therefore, why are the Unionist parties not listening? St Louise's Comprehensive College offers a diverse range across the various dimensions and has seen a dramatic rise in exam performance. So what is it that makes St Louise's different?
We're in the very fortunate position that we can offer subjects both at Key Stage 4 and Post 16 that are diverse and also complement the needs and abilities of every single child. At Key Stage 4 we have over 30 subjects, at Post 16 we have 52 subjects, and on an ongoing basis we review our curriculum to make sure it meets the needs and the capabilities of our children, but also meets the needs and capabilities of the labour market going forward. And it's just not about the curriculum in terms of subjects, but also the extracurricular developments that we have within our school in terms of sport, media, performing arts and in leadership development going forward. My belief is that we can deliver a diverse curriculum because we know our students, and we know our students from year 8. We track them right through their 7 years in St Louise's, and we ensure that they do the right subjects and therefore achieve the right results.
I like St Louise's because the teachers play games and they make learning fun. I like the teachers because they care for you and help you when you get stuck with your work. I like the teachers because they're really fun and interesting.
This is Rio reporting from BBC School News Report. Good afternoon.